So we need a cross to get across.
You're fired.
I think it's good. Hey everybody, thank you for checking out our channel. We're super excited to bring you this video. What is the gospel? And now, as the title may suggest, we're going to talk about what the gospel is.
Right. People sometimes are intimidated. They're not sure how to share the gospel. And that's kind of what we want to overcome here. We've got a little 2-minute presentation I want to share with you. This is my favorite way to share the gospel. It takes away all your excuses. All you need is a pen and a napkin. If you're sitting at a coffee shop with somebody and they ask you some hard-hitting questions about God, you, within 2 minutes, can get them really thinking about their life, their destiny, their eternity. So I've used this with great success, and I really enjoy it. It's very crisp, it's very clear, and I want to share it with you guys so you can practice it and share it with others.
Yeah, I remember the first time you showed me this, I remember thinking, like, man, it's so much easier than I thought. Because if you asked me, I try to go through like 100 things that I think are important, because everything that you're reading in the Bible is important. But when it comes to trying to get someone locked in initially, I think this is just a great way. And like I said, I'll never forget the first time you showed it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. There is a lot to it. There's a lot in the Bible, and what we want to do is make sure that we communicate the main thing as succinctly and clearly as possible.
So yeah, you're going to show us?
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna be utilizing all this space.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm gonna need you to evacuate.
I never get to be in the videos, man.
So in answering the question, what is the gospel? One of the key passages is 1 Corinthians chapter 15. The whole chapter really, but verses 1 to 9 in particular. And the reason for that is this is actually the earliest written record that we have of an apostle telling us what the gospel is. He tells the Corinthians that this is the primary message that he communicated to them, that this is what they're saved by, this is what they stand on if they hold on to their faith. And it boils down to four kind of key points: that Christ died, that he was buried, that he was raised, and that he appeared. And this is kind of the fundamentals of the gospel, and that's kind of the foundation for this presentation that I'm going to be sharing with you. One key distinction that I want to point out, because it can be a little confusing, when we talk about gospel, there are the gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. When we talk about the gospels, we're talking about the written record of Jesus' life and ministry. When we talk about the gospel that Christians preach, that we get excited about, the good news that we're sharing about, that's in that setting, that's like the fundamental message: that Christ died, that he was buried, that he was raised, and that he appeared. And there's so much behind all of that you can dig deeper on. But right now, I want to show you in 2 minutes how you can just get this across to someone in a powerful way. All right, let's pretend we're sitting at a coffee shop with Joe. And Joe is anybody in your life that wants to know what it is you believe, what this fundamental thing is that you have accepted that has changed the way that you live. And so he's essentially asking you, what is the gospel? And if Joe asked me that question, this is exactly what I would say to him. And I would grab a little pen and a napkin or whatever I could on hand just to show him, just a nice illustration. I say, Joe, God really cares about you. And God has all these great things for you. He's got a plan, he's got a purpose, he's got power, he's got peace. He's the ultimate good, and he has all this goodness that he wants to share with you. That is his desire. That's what he wants to do just because of who he is. Unfortunately, there is a gap between us and God, and we innately sense it. As human beings, we feel that there's something wrong, that there's something distant, and so we try to close this gap. We try to feel connection with God by maybe doing meditation, maybe giving to charity, maybe any number of things. Psychology, medication, drugs, whatever. People try to bridge this gap and get to God. But unfortunately, the Bible tells us that this gap is the result of sin, and the wages of sin is death. And anything that we attempt to do is not going to be sufficient to get us to God. But God cares about us so much, he loves us so much, that he sent his son to die on a cross for us so that we would be able to have access to him and all the good things that he has for us. So Joe, let me ask you, on this illustration, where do you see yourself? Are you over here? just starting to learn about God, you have all kinds of questions, there's all kinds of hiccups, and there's all kinds of obstacles in your way, and you're wondering, and we need to dig deeper. Are there questions that I can answer for you? I mean, do you have questions? Or are you over here, man? Are you just, does this make sense to you? And you're just ready to start a relationship with God and go down this path. You just want to taste and see, you want to try it. And depending on how Joe answers that question, if he's got specific questions, we can address those issues. If he's ready to get to know God and start discipleship, I'm going to pray with him, and I'm going to encourage him to read the Gospels of Matthew and John. As Christians, we are little Christ. That's literally what Christian means. And so we need to get to know Christ. We need to get to know exactly what he taught and what he said. And so that's why for brand new believers, I'm always going to encourage them to read the Gospels and really get to know them. But that's it, guys. I mean, and I don't know how long that took, but in just a couple of minutes, you're able to pretty clearly express what's captured in 1 Corinthians chapter 15. One other thing that I want to make sure and encourage you to do, the beauty of this illustration is the opportunity to draw this person into it and ask them where they are. This is a conversation starter. This gives you the opportunity to, in sales terminology, make the sale. What happens is you can have a great presentation that explains the gospel, but unless you give someone an opportunity to accept it, you're not accomplishing much. So this right here, hey, where do you see yourself, and drawing them on there, that is your giving them an opportunity to accept the gospel.
Wow, man, so that's good stuff. I think it's super easy.
And I would just say practice it. Like, you saw it this one time, but definitely write it down, practice drawing it. Even I've done this probably 50 times, and I had to reshoot this probably 3 times because I would all of a sudden get dyslexic and write stuff the wrong way. So definitely get comfortable, practice with your friends, with your small groups. Share this with people. I didn't invent this. This has been used with great success for the last at least 100 years.
I just think that's so good. So God has a plan, a purpose. He's got power. He's got peace, and all of that He's willing to give you and those around you. So use your influence. Use this example as just a way, just a tool in your toolkit to go out and do the work for God's kingdom.
Yeah.
But thank you for watching. If you have any questions, hit us in the comments below. Like or subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you soon.
Catch you later.